Fanatic. The election is over. The people have spoken. And now we must speak on sports and the Philadelphia Eagles. How about that for a transition? That's pretty damn good, man.
I liked it.
In any event, I'm looking at there's blatant disrespect for the Eagles around the entire league. So let's talk about it. And this plays into, we've already made our opinions known on Nick Sirianni, and the people have. And I'm thinking, this is the only thing that's got to be holding back people from evaluating the Philadelphia Eagles. But the counterbalance to that is that Jalen Hurts is kind of getting undervalued at this point. Now, he's had several really good games in a row as a controlled quarterback. And I think when people look at Jalen Hurts, they go, he's kind of out of control. He turns the ball over. But they have found a formula that works for him where I wouldn't say he's above a game manager, but he's judicious with his throws, not turning the ball over, working off the running game primarily. Now, this is not normally a formula that we would see in Philadelphia, but somehow they have evolved into that because it's been very successful. The perils of it are when they don't have A.J. Brown, maybe they're not the same type of team, and maybe he kind of regresses. Like this weekend against the Cowboys, A.J. Brown probably will not play. So what will they do? And then the other peril is, of course, if you run Saquon Barkley ragged. But let's talk about the quarterback, Bill. Bill's here. Ray's here. Is he getting undervalued right now? Or are people not waking up to the fact that he's actually playing some of the best football of any quarterback in the league at this particular moment, but you wouldn't know it by the national reputation?
I do think he's being undervalued, and I think he's being undervalued locally and nationally because obviously this week Sirianni took up a lot of conversation for the bad decisions, questionable decisions. Saquon Barkley gets a lot of attention, rightfully so, because he's been better than anybody could have imagined when he got here. But you look at Jalen Hurts, the last 4 games since the bye, he's basically reinvented himself. I mean, you look at how he started the season with all the turnovers and the interceptions and the fumbles, and now you look at what he's done in the last 4 weeks. 4 wins in a row. 4 games in a row with a passer rating over 119. And according to Reuben Frank, he's the first quarterback in franchise history to ever do that. Only the 13th quarterback ever, Mike. 13th quarterback in the history of the NFL to go 4 straight games with a passer rating over 119. He's gone 5 straight without an interception. And part of the reason I've defended Sirianni is, what do I say? All he does is win. All Jalen Hurts does is win. This guy is 40-19 in his career. He leads the NFL with completions of 40-plus. He's got 8 of them already this season. He's on pace for over 4,400 yards, 38 touchdowns, but yet it still seems like maybe a part of the disrespect nationally and part of the questions locally are because people don't fully believe in the quarterback. And I'm not sure I understand why, because what he's put on tape the last 4 weeks should make everyone realize he can bring you a Super Bowl in this town.
Well, I believe in the quarterback if he's this type of quarterback. If he is going to make plays with his legs and then be very judicious with his throws, then this is a winning formula for them. And they can't divert from the formula they have now. They need to run the ball now in the area 35 to 40 times a game. That wasn't really what the plan was, but somehow this is the plan that has given them the most success. So in that context, I really believe in him because he's going to add some rushing yards and some carries, and he's going to throw the ball 20 times a game. And you don't see many quarterbacks around the league these days that are going to do that type of thing and win games. I guess the Ravens do it a little bit, but that guy makes some spectacular plays also throwing the football. So, excuse me. Oh, I got choked up there. So I'm looking at this game. I can't believe that they could lose to Dallas the way the Dallas. I mean, they're so discombobulated, but they don't have A.J. Brown. So I think we're going to learn a lot about the Eagles in this game with this quarterback, and he's going to have to play a lot better without one of his security blankets there. But I'm looking at the power rankings. I think this is blatant disrespect. The way the Eagles are right now, and I know I bitched and moaned about the head coach and his whole thing, and but the Eagles should be ranked a little higher than 9, don't you think, in the power rankings?
Yeah, look, the only one I saw having them ranked, I looked at all of them this morning. Pro Football Talk's got him 7th, but yeah, CBS, ESPN, they have him 9th, and you'd understand looking at the other teams in the NFC. Okay, you put the Detroit Lions above them. You put the Washington Commanders
above them. It's the Chiefs, it's the Lions, it's the Bills. It's the Ravens. All right.
You can get behind that.
Yeah, that's like a Final Four. I get it.
But the Packers and the Vikings?
Well, the Commanders are 5. They beat the Giants last week, 27-22. They're 5. I think Minnesota is 6. They beat the Colts 21-13, struggled. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 7. They had a bye. The Green Bay Packers lost to the Lions. They're 8. It's blatant disrespect that the Packers are ahead of them, probably the Steelers, the Vikings, and the Commanders. I don't get that. I think that the Eagles are universally hated.
Well, and you just said that the Packers lost to the Lions. The Packers also lost to the Eagles. First game of the season.
So how could they be ahead of them? They're not buying into the team because of their head coach.
Well, you say the head coach.
That's a shame. The reputation is that he's going to screw it up, and they're not that good. They've been lucky more than good because of this guy.
But you say it's the head coach. And the reason why we talked a little before the show, I said, hey, I want to see what people's feelings are about Jalen Hurts, because you look at The Athletic that power ranks the quarterbacks. They got Jalen Hurts 14th. 14th in the NFL.
And it's because he's not doing anything spectacular. He's been the wins have been steady wins with a formula where it's Saquon Barkley carrying the team, and nobody is really thinking that Jalen Hurts is carrying this team. So that's why they ranked him so low. But the team as a whole has not impressed anybody. If you're going to make the Eagles 9 behind those teams I just mentioned, they're not impressing anybody, and I think that smacks of Philadelphia hate. I really do.
But I'm curious though, what it is that's holding the national perspective back. I'm going to tell you what it is.
I think it's a blatant backlash to the buffoonery of the head coach.
But here's why I'm not sure I agree. We've seen in the NFL over the years, good teams and good quarterbacks can overcome bad coaching. Bad coaching can never overcome poor quarterback play. So you look at this Eagles team, and whether you're a fan of Nick Sirianni or not, I think you can get behind the fact that they're 6-2, even with Sirianni making some questionable decisions, because, yes, they are that talented, because Sirianni is getting them ready to play. They do have good coordinators on both sides of the football. So is it the quarterback that's holding people back from fully buying in? Because you could see that this team can win despite the head coach. We've seen that at times this season. But no team, I don't care how good you are, I don't care how good your defense is, if your quarterback is playing poorly, if your quarterback is turning the ball over, it doesn't matter. You're going to lose a lot of football games. So is it the coach that's holding the national media back from ranking them higher, or is it their non-belief in the starting quarterback?
Well, it's up to the people. We'll talk to the people about this, because this is General Knowledge Wednesday. And let me just add one thing, because the newsworthy thing is that Joel Embiid, they've given him more load management, and they've suspended him for 3 games, which plays right into the hands of the Sixers and Joel Embiid. So I have absolutely no opinion other than I sanctioned his shove of the reporter. And the way I look at it is this. It's like Henry Hill said in Goodfellas. Everybody takes a beating sometimes. So if you're not prepared to take a shove every now and then, as long as it's not a punch in the face that damages you and injures you, I think a reporter every now and then has to take a shove. And I know you don't believe in that, because it's it's assault, but it's really not assault. It's a statement.
It's
is what it is. And I think as a columnist, you should be prepared to take a shove every now and then. And I don't have any problem with it, and I would willingly take a shove.
Look, I think universally we all agree the original article that came out from Marcus Hayes was inappropriate. He didn't have to go there. He didn't have to talk about his deceased brother. He didn't have to bring his son into the equation. He just didn't have to do it. But I just don't think it should ever raise to the level of physical altercation, especially in today's world, Mike, because, look, when you used to cover the teams as a journalist, you had a platform they didn't.
Yeah.
It's a different world now. Joel Embiid's got more followers on Twitter than Marcus Hayes does.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid has more followers than the Inquirer does, probably.
Yeah.
So he has a platform to respond, whereas previously he didn't. So maybe, he gets aggressive and he comes after the reporter. Joel Embiid could have responded, and most fans, I think a majority of fans, looked at that article and looked at Marcus Hayes and said, what a damn clown. Like, that's how the perception I saw on Twitter, that was the perception I saw from most people I spoke to. They thought it was a ridiculous article. So I don't think he needed to make it physical. He could have responded on social media.
There's so many occasions where you regret that you didn't get physical. No, there really are. When you would love to put somebody in their place, and the rules of society say you can't. That's why I say a shove is fine. Like, if you're going to go into the cauldron of being a columnist and write stuff that's, on the edge, you have to expect that somebody is going to be flamed to the point where they may shove you. And I don't have a problem. I'm going to sanction all shoves. I'm sanctioning all shoves because as a columnist, you got to take it. Now, as long as you don't fight back, you take the shove and you move on. And it satisfies both parties. It satisfies Embiid that he did that. Otherwise, it was going to fester with him for a really long time. And that's the worst feeling you can have when it festers.
I can understand that. I can understand it. It's hard when you take a step back and try to be in today's society and say, you know what, you shouldn't have made it physical. And I said this about the Kelsey incident, too. I would hope that if I was in that moment, I could react the way I think I would react sitting here, but you never know when you're all heated.
Everybody takes a beating sometimes, and you got to be prepared to take a shove if you're a reporter. I have no problem with it at all, and I think 3 games maybe was mild, frankly, that the NBA reacted because the NBA doesn't want this to make a habit. As a human being, I look at it and go, fine, I'll take the shove.
Yeah, but the good news is 3 games, when he comes back, most likely.
Yeah, it's the game that we're giving away tickets for today.
You're damn right it is.
So we'll explain all of that. It's General Knowledge Wednesday, and Sixers-Knicks tickets in his debut is the prize today on the Mike Missanelli Show. 610-632-0975. Back after this.